So, we haven't met everyone. I'm Kathleen Foley. I'm the vice chair.
Carolyn and Sean.
Sean Conway.
And,
John First, village attorney.
and I think you're the only one that these folks haven't met.
Natasha Krupp,
Thanks for coming.
thank you for having me.
Since there are so many of you, you're welcome to come to the table if you'd like, or whatever feels most comfortable.
Those of you who understand the stuff that you're holding in your hands.
That's right. Maybe slip in that much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have, when I came into the building yesterday, it was not here yet, so I have not read it all the way. Yeah, if you don't mind. Hi.
No problem.
So Al, may we introduce the property owner, Natasha Krupp is with us
Hi.
tonight.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Met everybody else?
Having library time.
Yes. Your copy's right there, Al. Is this what that deck was sitting on?
That's right. Yeah, the balcony, so it was 2x4s that came down.
Oh, now I see here.
Yeah. Like a lateral.
I can't believe nobody died standing on it. where this dressed stone came from on the corner,
You know, obviously it was
reused from somewhere, yeah.
I'm guessing it was the church that used to be next to it. They just, you know, people seems, whatever, I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
spolia.
Total speculation, but.
All right, are we ready?
Done.
Mhm.
All right, I'll open it to the board for questions. Anybody have questions concerning the report?
I do not.
No, I think it's pretty thorough.
All right, I guess my question is, the decision to demolish the foundations was made when?
The date exactly?
Yeah, well, you know, plus or minus, when was it decided that?
After they took apart the framing portion and then the floor, which was literally just sort of coming apart. And so we were left with the foundation. We had the structural engineer come and look at it, what there was of it.
It was
So it was
October
the 25th,
25th.
that's right, when they came. So it was sometime after that, not long after that, when we thought it doesn't make sense to keep this.
So the superstructure was already gone by October 25th.
Yes.
So, as far as the rest of the building, that decision was made earlier.
Well-
Was coming,
Feel free to jump in. I mean, I think what I would add,
down.
when you say rest of the building, I think it's make sure everybody's on the same page. What I think the board is talking about is a north portion of the north and a portion of the south wall. That, and you're talking about just the internal framing. The rest of it was, the board acknowledged last month was identified as being removed without question. So is that the portion you're talking about?
No, I mean, you know, I'm looking at these photographs, and obviously these photographs were taken, you know, enough time that there were leaves on the trees, but there's no building left, it's just the foundation. And the report from the structural engineer talks about examining the foundation, not the structure. So obviously the rest of the building must have been taken down before that.
Right, so these photographs were taken on that same day, that the structural
The
engineer was there.
25th.
Yes.
Okay. All right, but by the 25th, the rest of the building has already been gone.
Right, but that's right.
So what he was assessing was
Just the
what he
foundation.
believed to be the likelihood that this remaining foundation structure could accept the design for the new building.
That's right.
Okay, and I guess, you know, the question is because in the report talks about providing ventilation to the crawl space and stuff like that. Is that gonna be accommodated in whatever is put back?
Yes.
So then, I guess, I guess chiseling out of the rock ledge, is that, what was the purpose of that?
That was to create the crawl space.
Crawl space?
That's right. And to create a solid base for the footing, because what we found was that the top layers of the ledge were fractured and couldn't accommodate foundation anyway.
All right, I guess, is there any reason why we should have a motion on anything, on this?
To accept
No,
the report.
I think the idea was just to paper the record, so to speak.
Right.
If everybody's satisfied with the information that was submitted, then as far as you guys are concerned, I think it's been resolved to the best that it can be resolved.
So do we need a resolution to accept the report?
Yeah, you can accept it and include it in the record.
So I make a motion to accept this report as documentation of the demolition, the conditions that required the demolition of the structure at 31 Market, and request that it be entered into the public record. That's the motion. Do you want to modify
Okay, the report of the, all right. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I would second that.
Okay, all in favor, Kathleen?
Aye.
Well,
I would accept it as far as entering it into the public record, but not in any way approving it.
Okay. With that qualification, I think what Carolyn just offered was an amendment to your,
So we are accepting
Motion.
it for the public record.
all right, without any approval or disapproval, or without any approval.
I would ask the village attorney if that is an acceptable
I
modification.
think
to
just
the
keep the
resolution.
the way you originally had it, that you're accepting it for the public record, and then just leave it at that. I think the idea was just to paper it, really, and just to make sure that they provided the report that was necessary, and you guys were satisfied with the, information, that there was the information in there that you needed. And just leave it at that.
So I
Okay,
accept
so
that
I'll start
modification.
the vote again. Kathleen?
Aye. With the modification, aye.
Carolyn?
Aye.
Sure. Okay. That's it?
Aye. Anything to
Thank
the
you.
building inspector?
Let's talk in the small conference room.
At that
Enjoy that.
excellent
No, we did last month during the executive session. We had a very nice.
I didn't even know there was that.
I haven't been in there.
I'll let you know how it is.
in January, or your little workshop?
Do you need us again before you go? Or
I don't think so.
We
You guys are all good on your end.
You didn't see the face she's made.
That's fine.
It would be a non-voting.
It would be non-voting session, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean,
We're just.
If you're not ready next week, I mean, we're gonna meet anyway because we have board business to do. So if you're not ready, just let us know and we know not to expect you.
You are meeting next week.
In workshop
The
session, not a
19th.
voting
Workshop.
session.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, wow, okay. I thought you guys took,
Thank you,
not taking the
everyone.
second meeting.
nice meeting you.
You're welcome.
Very diligent
And to
board.
you.
Like that.
Same to you.
I think most boards who had 2 meetings in December have canceled their second, so.
We go hard.
Nice.
to meet you. Nice to
Thank
meet
you very much. Take care.
All right, 168 Main Street?
You okay?
Read too much today.
There are worse things.
I didn't bring my reading glasses.
Oh. Hi.
Hello.
Have you met folks on the board?
Jenny Rory. Hi.
Al Skolinski, nice to meet you.
Hi.
Kevin couldn't make it,
Sean
sorry, so
Conway,
you
nice
got
to
me.
meet you.
Carolyn Bishop, hello.
And we know each
Glad
other.
to
Good
be
to see you.
tonight.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Tammy.
The window selection is not,
Oh, sorry, James. The drawings are up here.
You.
Oh, your name is Carpenter. I thought when you said your married name, I thought I'd been calling you the wrong last name
No.
all this time. Okay.
There's many aliases.
Many aliases. Okay.
We'll have to keep track.
I should have moved the Main Street.
So all the areas under the windows are treated the same way?
correct, panels, yeah. So, you know, we've previewed this in our workshop, but essentially we're designing a small addition to be built within the existing porch as a breakfast nook. With no change to the roof line, retaining the existing columns and the existing railings, and treating it in a similar architecture to the wood addition at the back of the structure.
Sorry, when I came in anyway, the other day, the documents weren't here yet, so just thanks for giving us time to just catch up here.
Yep.
So. I don't see, for me, I don't see any issues or concerns. It's very much like the enclosure that we approved not so long ago at 192 Main. And it's a more rational entrance on the back, saves some yard space.
192 is being Janet.
Sorry, the Warwick Whalen, yeah.
Mhm.
So what's Al, how did you respond to Al's inquiry last week about the area below the railing?
So, well, I'm just counting my pages. Page 13, like the end of 13. Some reason I'll have them individually numbered. We have the elevations without the railing in front of them. So we're treating them as flat panels.
Oh, I
with a
see, sorry, I
orange-
missed that.
Yep. So flat panels set back a little bit from the orange trim, basically picture framing under each window, and then the clapboard siding to the right of that, where we've got where it's facing down the porch towards Main Street.
Addresses my concern.
I have
No, I was just walking by on the way here, and it's almost as if like that porch is too long.
Yeah.
I think that this is really gonna make the proportions of it make so much more sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like when you design like on a campus and you look at how people walk in snow, how people do
Cut,
paths
right.
express. You look at how people put their recycling and, you know, kick off their shoes and things like that, and you design a room around it.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
Any questions, Carol?
None.
First of all, let us proceed with secret, and I have a motion concerning secret.
I propose that we, I move that we determine it's type 2.
Second? Sure.
I will second that.
All in favor? Aye.
And that's good for you, that means
Okay.
no further environmental review.
Okay.
All right, do I have a motion concerning the application as submitted?
I will move to accept the application as submitted.
We need to approve.
Oh, what did I say?
Do we have do we have hardware?
I'm sorry, to approve the application as submitted.
Do we have hardware?
Hardware may be the one thing we're missing.
We don't have hardware.
But-
It's only on one door, which is
And
on the
it's-
back, and you
it's
can't really see
limited
the back.
visibility.
Yeah, forget the
Yeah, I
back,
know.
okay, forget the comment on the hardware.
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Done?
Great, thank you very much.
So good luck, happy kitchening. Thank you.
Aye.
Oh, you're doing the whole kitchen too?
No,
Oh.
it's more of an extension. We have it built in right now where the boys sit for breakfast and such. They're getting bigger,
Yeah.
so we need a bigger booth. Yeah.
That's the thing about kids.
Yeah, we forgot about that aspect.
I'm eating them.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take
All
care.
right, thank you. Okay. Put that up here. Oops. I see I took it.
Oh, it's
I was looking
These are
for
mine.
my
Okay, here's-
agenda.
There's one right here that you got that.
Well,
Can you look at it?
Oh, we're gonna look at it, oh. Look at it.
What up?
come on.
Hello again.
Do you wanna come Kitchening, it's not a real word. Yeah.
Kitchen.
I kitchen, yes, how do you conjugate that? The kitchens, we kitchen.
Let's kitchen.
Shall kitchen,
Shall have kitchen.
shall have kitchens, yeah.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. I don't know, we'll see.
Let's go over what weird, oh. Okay.
So, front elevation
I'm gonna use
last
time to
time,
read this tiny thing.
we had proposed 2 operating windows, which was promptly shot down. So we're back to the exact facade we have now, with the exception that we're gonna change that one door to match the front door,
Mm-hmm.
the door on the right side. The awning remains the same, the light fixtures will stay the same as they are. And the only other thing on the front would be the actual corbel design, frieze board, but we have to remove, as we talked about before, to see what we've got there, and if we've got something that we can work with, then we'll work with that, and if not, then we've gotta come up with, something that matches something else on Main Street.
And it is appropriate to the building, yeah.
And maybe that's where the kitchen comes in.
That's where the
Is
kitchen
that-
comes in. Involves a mixing bowl or some such thing. Well, I'm really relieved to see you go back to retaining those windows. That makes a tremendous difference.
Mm-hmm.
So this corbel profile is something that you're, if there's no indication what the profile actually is, this is what you're proposing?
Well, I saw this on a couple of buildings, I don't know the exact measurements, because
Mhm.
they're up, 40 feet in the air, and I can't get up that high, but something similar to that. Or whatever else, we don't.
We do have photographs of what the
Right,
corbels
we don't
were.
care, I mean,
Yeah.
I saw those, I couldn't really
I mean, it's not
tell.
an ideally focused image, but it gives you an idea.
Where's those, like, shadow lines are?
So,
Yeah, I can grab it if you want.
Yeah. And I don't know how.
happy holidays.
Happy
John,
holidays.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
I should find my keys.
I think that yeah, I don't know how much information they have on those.
I mean, it's not, you couldn't take it to a carpenter and say, turn this,
Yeah.
but
Right.
Give me one of these.
but it would give you an idea, yeah. I should grab it out of the other office.
So there was a couple of other concerns, on the left or the west elevation, about windows lining up. The 2 windows on the top obviously are there, and they're gonna stay there, there's no change there. We're gonna have 1 window below that, outermost top-story window. We're going to use a different type of condenser, instead of using the smaller individual ones, we found ones that'll actually accommodate 5 or 6 units.
Mhm.
So we're gonna use those 2
Okay.
instead, and those are going in the same spot that we have, I think, 3 or 4 of those compressors right now,
Okay.
so that'll look a lot less busy.
And is it? I mean, I know that this is basically.
It's proportionally.
But is it a vent? Is it a
No, you're gonna be
flat
looking at
panel? Is it the
a,
actual big spinning vent thing itself?
You can see the spinning
Uh huh.
vent, but, well, there's several different types. There's kind that have like a louver on the front. You know,
Yeah.
almost like a Venetian blind, and you can't see anything behind
Okay.
it. That's a matter of preference, I guess, which is more objectionable or less
Right,
objectionable.
yeah.
But that's the lay of the land, because that's how they're made, and there's not much we can do about it.
Yeah. So it's a metal box.
It's a metal
big
box.
metal box. Yeah. And it's. But that's not this.
Yes, that is.
That's this.
That's the box sticking out.
What are we looking at?
Oh.
The condenser.
Oh, I see. Because this is the back. Sorry,
That's the
I thought
back,
that was the
right,
front.
yeah.
Right. I thought they were reversed. Okay. So really, from the street, that's quite difficult to see. The only way you would see it is
Um,
from behind the pizza place.
What are you
Right.
referring to?
These
The-
two.
These
The
two
left
AC
elevation.
units.
See those two white boxes there?
Those two-
Kathy?
Oh,
Those
here,
are
here.
the
Yeah.
compressors now, we've replaced,
What are these
Before
5
5
little
minutes.
squares up?
That's
Those
what I
are
thought you were
vents.
talking about.
those are the bathroom vents.
Oh,
So all of the smaller units that were originally proposed, Kathleen, have been condensed into those 2 square units.
But we found compressors that will accommodate the indoor units 5 or 6 at a time, so we're good. That'll be
Oh,
for
I
the
see.
upstairs and for the downstairs, actually. And right now, I think there's 3 or 4 of them sitting out there, smaller ones. But really, to see anything on this side, from the street,
Well,
I
it's
kinda gotta,
a side that's already
No.
been modified a lot anyway.
and plus with the replacing the siding and everything else, it's an obvious upgrade to what's the blue siding that's there now.
Is that over the lot line?
No.
No.
Everything here is within the condensing units you're talking about? Actually, they probably do sit maybe a little bit over the lot line, but they are replacing the ones that are there now. So, we don't think that's an issue. I could relocate them elsewhere if I had to, but that was our preferred place for them.
Well, I mean, another way to think about it is that right now, on the back of the addition, you've got a massive kitchen fan that is very visible from Church Street, Garden Street. And
Garden
this
Street-
takes that mechanical equipment and moves it behind the
Mhm.
pizza. You know, and it's not as visible as the current
Right.
Yeah.
kitchen fan.
Well, I guess my concern would be is that if it is over the lot line, you have permission from the neighbor.
Well, we have, whatever's there existing, I guess we do. I don't know, that's between the attorneys and whatever, but
Right.
if I can't put it there, I have some other options. We could
Well-
roof mount it, and hide it with a parapet. So,
Or how about the back facade?
I'm sorry,
The back facade.
we could mount them up there if we had to.
I think that's gonna be more visible from
But I
like right
think
away
that
than
would
where
be
they are
true.
now. Because you
On
can
the
see
rear facade?
straight back, yeah,
Right,
because when you're on, it's Garden Street, right?
yeah.
Yeah, when you're north on Garden Street, you see back to that back facade and it's a vista you never get here because the pizza building is there.
Well, this is the outline of the pizza building.
You know what, let me go
yes,
get
that's the outline
photographs
pizza
out of the,
building. The white part.
yeah, but I mean, you don't, oh, I take it back, I see what you, I see what you mean. Let me get the existing condition.
So is anything going to happen to the transparency or anything of the glass itself?
No, the glass remains as it
The
is.
glass just
Yeah, we're
remains
not
as
touching
is?
that.
Okay.
Just looking to see if we have a photograph, because nothing's changed back there since the last time you took pictures back there. That's what I was looking for. This, if you get a direct scan from the, oh, no, this isn't a private collection. That's the best picture that you're, without going back to the person who owns the photograph, that's the best image there is.
This is the image of the corbels you're talking about.
Yeah, but the other,
Right?
that's the only one I have that's not a copy of a copy. So it's the best quality we've got, but the Historical Society, you could ask them if they could get a scan from that property owner. Her name's on the bottom. I mean, that person who owns the image.
Janet Rust, is she local?
Yeah, she's a volunteer, she's a docent at the Historical Society, but she's got a huge collection in her house. That was one of hers. Somewhere there was an image of back there.
Yeah, and they look like they're spaced a lot further apart than,
Yeah, they look like they're maybe 8 feet or something apart. They're not close.
if you figure the windows are about like 2 feet are 3 feet wide, I'd say they're maybe 3 foot in the center, something like that.
Maybe, look, my eyes are not that, useful for that kind of work.
Yeah, they're about the same as the window, yeah. Yeah, it's probably something that's a little bit more curvy.
Possible, I can't tell from that though,
Yeah.
what it is.
If you were able to see to have someone scan the original, you might be able to get it clearer,
Mhm.
but I don't think a whole lot.
And then just regarding the windows on the back elevations,
Yeah, actually, you're never gonna see those because there's a fence that goes along the back. You might see the top portion of the window or something.
oh, okay, are they, but those are new
Those are new windows.
windows in new locations?
New windows, there's no windows
There's
there
nothing
now,
now,
so
okay.
there are gonna be new windows in that location.
And on the side, the same,
Side, the same thing, those two windows on that left elevation are new windows going in there.
new windows going in, and the two on the second floor are existing, and the one on the first floor is new.
And the one on the first floor will line up to be underneath the one above it.
Okay.
And these windows don't change at all
No,
on
we're
the
not
front, so they're not getting touched,
the front, the only thing
except
that,
for the corbels.
right, the corbel, the freeze board that's gonna go along with the corbel, and that
Right.
door, that's on the right side, that'll match the
But otherwise they stay.
main door. But everything else will stay as it is.
And then
And
the
then
the rear door on the second floor
That's
to
getting
the front.
replaced to match the one on the front.
To match the one on the front.
Got it.
So all three doors will be the same.
And do you have a cut sheet for the new front door, or is it gonna be built to match the,
Actually, I'm trying to remember if that was a
You
custom
did that
made
as
door
an,
or not.
you have an approval for a new door there that was to match. No, I'm sorry, yeah, then this is the existing door, but we did approve ages ago a door that would match the existing front door, and then that door was never installed. Instead, the door that was there now is installed.
Jimmy.
Do we have a copy of that?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for right now.
But the idea here is that the existing main door in the front is an acceptable door.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
not.
The existing main door?
the
No.
storefront, the storefront?
The
Storefront door, yeah.
That's what
yeah,
I'm talking about, the storefront door is acceptable.
Right,
And the
and
smaller
the door
door-
that was approved previously was to match that door.
Okay,
But
so
did we
that's what
ever
we're gonna
actually
do,
get a
we're gonna match that
Cut-
door.
Did we ever get a photograph or a cut sheet of it?
That's
or-
what I'm looking for
Oh,
right now.
okay.
Alright, here's the cut sheets for the window.
If I remember correctly, that door was a separate application unto itself.
Windows, doors, I just don't remember, I'm looking through them to see what's where. Windows.
Jimmy, do you remember the supplier for that front door, the main door?
I should do that construction, guys, I mean, this is the door.
Was that Williams Lumber we did that from? Where did you get that from?
The door that's in place right now,
The front main door that's in place right now, the storefront door.
that's not a new door. Is it?
That door was new.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a new door. I'm pretty sure it was a new door.
Somebody else double look through this one, please. There should be a notation that says side door to match front.
Well, that'll be corrected at this point then.
Here it is, no, that's the railing.
So then I guess just when we are ready to vote on the application to approve it, we would need either the cut sheet of it, if it's gonna be a pre-made door to match, or a drawing of it if it's
Yeah,
gonna be
okay.
made to match,
Good.
if it's something that,
No new door. So it's gotta be in that one, cause that's newer than this
You have to
one.
look up your records,
Yeah.
maybe paper stuff if you still have them, see if you got that. Otherwise, I'll just get a catalog from Williams Lumber and see, I'm pretty sure that's where you got it from.
I think you and Johnny got it.
Right.
Well, so,
I'm pretty sure you got it from Williams, we'll find out.
Okay.
Okay,
With the internet, we could probably find every single door in the world,
that's
but
right.
I'll bet you I
Yeah.
can't find that one. That'll be the one door you can't find anymore.
Well, I mean, it looks pretty straightforward. It's a panel door with a large lighted glass.
Right.
above. All right, anybody have any comments?
the only, like I said, I'm very, very glad to see you've gone back to keeping the windows. Thank you. I would just wanna be really crystal clear that when the cornice is open, that there be a pause to look to see what remains, what shadow lines remain, what
Right.
evidence.
What I would suggest is
And
this.
photographs taken, and at that point, you come back, this is what we agreed last time, that you come back and make a plan for how to deal with those with the brackets.
So,
No problem.
towards that end, the construction is divided into two parts. One is the demolition of the inside.
Mm-hmm.
We could include demolition of the
Cornice.
cornice at the same time. And then construction, once all that's removed and everything is taken out of there, construction has to stop for the engineer to come back in and take another look, because we don't know really what's holding everything up. I mean, there's a lot of what looks like clear span. We know there's one post in there that's doing something because we replaced part of it last time around. So once all the demolition is done, we can get a good look at everything. So there'll be a few days of time in between.
Great.
Mhm.
And then we have to redraw the plan, the demolition plan, or rather the construction plan, to match whatever we find out, however we have to hold things up. So, we can notify you at the beginning of the demolition. In fact, make that part of the approval, if that would be the best thing, I think, that way it's all on the record, it's in there. And then somebody who speaks better than me can word up how you have to come back in and look at the corbelling or kitchening or whatever we wanna call it. And then, just decide, I mean, maybe a quick meet with everybody or whatever, and just decide how it's gonna be.
Okay, I mean,
You know what, there's actually, when you were at this point last time, when the siding was being redone, Carolyn and I we got that photograph, and then we also went up and down Main Street and photographed brackets. And
We
sent,
photographed that.
we photographed brackets and sent them to you.
Oh, the last time.
The last time,
Okay.
right,
Oh,
so
gosh.
no, it's okay, I'm just saying,
Mhm.
it's probably sitting in,
You've got them someplace.
it's probably sitting in my box somewhere,
That'd be great.
that would be, that at least shows you roughly contemporary brackets, to know what
Okay,
the rough, profile could be, if you don't have evidence there already.
yeah. Okay, so if we have evidence, we'll go with what we've got, and if not, then we're gonna have to come up with maybe something that we've taken a picture of, or
right,
I don't care if anybody goes down the street and says, here, we want one of those, that's what we'll put in there.
okay.
Get a nice telephoto lens, get a nice close-up of the thing, and duplicate it.
Just remember to see if I can find that.
All right, Sean, you got any other comments?
No, I mean, I think it's,
I guess cut sheets on the window,
sorry?
we need cut sheets on the window.
On the
Yeah,
windows.
cut sheets on the window, cut sheets on the door.
Yeah, they're Anderson windows, that's easy enough.
So our next meeting is on the
Okay.
9th is the next
Sure.
monthly meeting, January 9th.
Okay, let me just stop this now.
Yeah.
And what application has been submitted specifically? Where are we at?
It
One's
hasn't-
been submitted, right?
No,
The building
nothing's
permit
been-
was submitted yesterday, Jimmy, you said the building
Yes,
permit
he
was
did.
submitted? Yesterday, so. at
Oh,
that
so you
point-
haven't actually been referred to us?
Right, Greg will now kick it back to you guys, right?
So we're still in workshop.
Well,
Right
yeah.
now.
Yes, but what I'd like to get, if we can do it today, so that at your next meeting, we
Sure.
can have everything presented and get it voted on.
Oh, we've already got it? The
Yeah,
referral?
Jimmy submitted an application in October,
Right,
which was then referred to us, but obviously it needs to be updated with everything that's changed since you were,
So
since
we
you
need for
first
me to
drew it.
update that. I
Well,
mean, here's
this
a
is-
plan that's being
Yeah.
submitted, I could,
No, this is the old version. This is,
That's the very first one that you came in with. So it's,
right, you
we-
know, they
we've
had the
met
door on the
twice.
side.
Mhm,
can you explain that?
Yes.
sure. So it's
can we
changed
just request that they just submit a new application with these drawings? And we
without
can-
having to pay another fee.
Yeah, we can waive the fee, but just so that the paperwork matches.
I think that's a good idea.
You all right?
Yeah, yeah, it's got this one.
So then that way, so, yeah, so we'll just ask that to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me put that back in so it doesn't get confused with anything else.
Submits with all the updated.
Yeah, and, you know, you can tell them that we don't need the electrical plans, you know, just save on reproduction costs. I think that,
Okay, we'll see them all.
I'm sure these notes are probably fascinating reading,
Mm-hmm.
sprinkler system and,
Yeah, yeah.
Do we
That's not,
wanna
that's,
see,
we don't worry about
Do we
that.
wanna see what the, those air conditioners?
You
So
worry
that's
about that,
what-
we don't worry about that.
I'll wait. And whenever you put the door, it's everything is already there. I mean, this is the door. I should come in for the front door. No,
So,
not him, somebody else.
oh, okay.
They tell me, Jimmy, this is the door. I say, sure. I don't wanna show with the town. The front door, the bed and breakfast, yes, Jimmy. And it costs me more money.
I'll put the wording on the
The front door
demolition
for bed and
on the
breakfast.
plan.
Uh-huh.
I change it, I will, I change it.
okay.
Oh, yeah, don't,
I
when you know what it's going to look like, just bring in the cut sheet.
Sure, no problem.
All right, now, stuff that you can leave off, because we don't need a lot of this. For example, this cover sheet, you probably, it doesn't need to be part of the package. Yes, yes,
Do you wanna mark it up and hand it back to him?
It make it easy because it costs me a lot of money, this guy.
Well, actually, let's see, I'll probably leave the cover sheet because that wording is gonna be on the cover sheet, under this general compliance information.
well,
Unless
okay.
you want me to stick it someplace else, I
Well,
can,
why don't you put it here?
okay, so you want that
See,
wording
because
on?
actually, why don't you put it right here,
Okay.
under the portable profile? So this one, yes,
Information, okay.
yes. Do we need to see a demolition plan and stuff? Okay,
Not if it's
So-
interior.
yes. No. 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 No.
And then
Right.
horrible detail on that one should be like to be determined or whatever.
Yeah, he's gonna put that note as far as the investigation concerning the coral right under the detail.
So, I'll need sheet number 2, oh, you've got it marked up there?
Yep.
Okay, let me just see, so that's the name.
I'm gonna put
Sheet 2.
this one
Okay,
in here until we get the,
yeah, you can have
I can
that.
take this one, okay, great.
and we never need anything big and giant. That size is fine for us.
Okay,
So we'd like to see, some catalog cuts or other information concerning the front door, the
Right.
door that's being replaced on the front facade, the windows,
mhm,
and the units that are gonna be hung on the outside.
the compressors.
And the door hardware.
I think they're actually condensers, but,
Condensers.
Let me stick that, that was part of the
There
previous.
And we also just want a new,
And hardware.
application cover sheet.
Well, the application should, there is an existing application. And so, I mean, my feeling is that, what, do we have enough copies?
What is the narrative on the bottom? Oh.
Exterior renovation for second floor addition to,
Yeah, that's all been changed.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right, because we're not doing that second floor in the back
Okay.
anymore.
all right,
I would recommend
So
that we
you
have a
need
new cover sheet,
A
just,
new cover sheet?
yeah.
yeah.
You don't have to pay the fee again, obviously, but just submit an application that reflects what you're doing now, based on your workshops. That's online.
Cool.
So yeah, that application, I can just get line. That's it?
that's it.
Man.
Thank you.
See you in January.
Sure, see you in January.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice
Merry
holiday,
Christmas,
guys.
everybody.
Happy
Happy New Year, everybody, and happy, kitchening.
Happy
Yes.
KitchenAid,
I'll
that'll
be
be
doing
our,
on this,
that's our
I
new
guess.
term.
Thank you.
See you later.
Okay, minutes.
I gave you, since I thought it'd be easier than trying to read out loud, I gave you copies of what I suggested as changes. I gave you double-sided copies. I know it's hard to read because it's not in color, but
I just had one thing, which is from the 11/28 meeting. The 168 Main Street was a workshop, not new business.
Oh, sure.
yeah, it was a workshop within an additional voting session.
The only other change I would make on that page is rather than say that Andrea was absent, I'd say she's on maternity leave.
On leave, yeah.
That would be the nice thing to do.
Thank
Because
you.
otherwise it sounds like
She
she's,
just wasn't here.
yeah, she's just skipping out. On the second page, are we on the second page yet?
Sure.
You had a
You're cool with
question
the other
about,
stuff, okay.
you had a question about the date of the prior approval of 31 Market. It was April 11th, 18.
Yeah, it was, okay. I wrote August and then crossed it out, okay.
There was something else that was approved in August, oh, that was that side porch thing.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. October 25th
No, it was gone.
is gone.
It was gone, I saw it was gone on the 18th, it was probably gone before that, because they were already chiseling
Well,
out the
also the site
ledge.
was completely cleared in that image.
Yeah.
Completely, all right, well, let's finish this. Anything else on page 2?
I don't have any changes to your edits.
Okay,
No.
so that's, so with the addition, oh, wait a minute.
Which minutes are we talking about now?
The 28th?
April 28th.
Sorry, we started
November
backwards.
28th.
November 28th.
Oh.
We're going backwards.
Did you get,
So we weren't
And marked
looking
it
at
up?
11/14,
no, we were looking at the 28th.
okay.
So,
I'll hand it to you.
oh, thank
No,
you.
I marked it up. Okay, but if we're, oh, I don't know where it went.
They're double sided.
I gave you,
No, these ones are, don't look at these ones.
Don't look at those.
No, because these are my copies without Kathleen's comments.
hang on, we're getting there, we're getting there.
That's-
Well, I'll trust you guys. My
Wow.
brain is fried.
Okay, so that part where it says Al is the devil and we can leave,
This is where we all write in our arrays.
That's right.
But that's a very faint watermark.
anything, the 3, there's no changes on, how about the 14th?
Yeah, I had something on the 14th. Again, not absent, but on leave.
Oh, yes.
Under 35 Market, on the 14th, where you talk about HDRB comments, the first bullet, the vista of the rock ledge.
Well, I was trying to
It's
get
the
it,
view of the rock ledge.
okay, sorry. All right, Sister Mary Catherine.
then I believe under 40 Chestnut Street,
Mhm.
I believe the guy who was here was not an architect, I think he was just a representative. He was the vice president, but,
That's true.
and,
He was the,
He
yeah,
was the math project.
the project guy.
Construction manager.
project guy. Oh, they're representative. And you say will be brick in a color that complements primary structure, but isn't it like a brick veneer or tile, he said?
Oh, you're right, it was a tile. Yeah. Will be brick tile in a color.
Yeah.
Good catch, good catch.
We, he brought a sample. We approved the sample that he brought.
Oh, we did, you're right.
Yeah.
So, as Kay Foley made a motion to approve the application as modified, including the submitted brick tile sample.
Well,
Right.
I don't know if I would say that only because we don't have that here. I mean, we looked at it, but we didn't keep it. So that may be a little bit confusing.
Well, I was gonna say we couldn't even refer to it, because we don't,
Well, you can,
Well, we
you
could.
can,
It
re-
came
you
on
can
a
refer to the,
manufacturer's board, and it had two different names, and one was called, the Farnsworth, and one was called whatever the hell else.
so in future, we should do that, we should record, that's a note for future is we should record the manufacturer, et
well,
cetera.
We do have
I
a
think,
Oh, well, we have a recording of it.
I think that what you can do is just say that, the board reviewed samples.
But-
And not say submitted samples, because that implies that he turned it over to us.
Well, except, I think what Sean's pointing out is we had a specific discussion about, a mixed brick versus a single, I mean, it was a color issue, but it was a finish issue. A
Right.
single
Right.
finish versus a mixing of the two samples.
And what he, if I remember correctly, what he said is that, well, it's gonna be closer to this one than that one.
So maybe it needs to say more specifically in the text, in a brick that complements the primary structure, the board requested the use of a single finish on the brick, finish for the brick rather than a mixing. Is that okay? Okay. That's a good point, Sean.
21, can we, anything else? Board?
Mm-mm.
21 parsonage, I would prefer not to refer to the, conversion as a tiny house.
Okay.
It is
Neither
a,
would, yeah, neither would I, because all the tiny houses I've seen are like really tiny.
Okay.
well, it's just a small house.
Or you could just say a small barn is to be converted.
I think 1 bedroom, 1 bath is sufficient.
That's all I got.
Okay, so, do we have, sorry.
I would move
Mary
to
here.
accept these minutes,
Which days?
11/14,
Mhm.
as modified.
And 11/28.
Oh, don't we have to do them separately? Oh, I'll accept them
No,
both. Okay.
You can accept them both as
I
modified.
move to accept 11/14 and 11/28 as modified.
Second, Carolyn
All
seconds
in
it.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. So Michael, I'm handing over the notes.
Are we
We just took.
completely up to date on minutes?
We are.
No.
Except for the one that will be recorded today, and then we're gonna
Well,
move on
no,
that one. It's just,
I mean,
it never
as far as
ends.
ones that are written.
Anytime we speak, a minute is written.
But we can report to Andrea that we've
We
completely
can.
up to date as far as the 28th.
I was really hoping she was gonna name
Well,
it.
they're,
Kid
no, they're all
Minute.
changes to you.
Minute Hudson. That'd be a great name.
What? Minute
I
Hudson?
thought she was gonna name the kid Minute.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we were supposed to discuss signage.
Oh, the signage thing.
Oh, I didn't give her
Aaron wrote back, I don't know if you saw that Aaron wrote back to your.
Yeah, I saw it and I commented to him that, look at our draft because that's basically what was passed.
So, can we please send as gently as you'd like, but still strongly worded letter to the clerk and the village attorney requesting that our updated ordinance be on the website?
The reason it's not is he hasn't done all those little annotations.
It was May, for
I
Christ's
know it
sake.
was May 2nd and today is December 12th. I know. 7 months. 7 months and 10 days. Well, I'm trying to get to it. That's what he told me. I'm trying to get to it.
Latest code,
Isn't there some chipper young Eagle Scout who needs
some
Excel?
merit badge.
I
A
think,
desktop publishing
Merit
merit
badge.
actually, Sean,
Paralegal somewhere?
I think that local government internships to Village Hall would be an excellent thing.
I think so too.
Let's talk about that in another session.
Yeah,
Motion to adjourn. Oh,
oh, no,
Oh, no,
sign.
but the signage thing, well, yeah, I mean, it's not on the website, so, nobody, if anybody wants to challenge us
I
on
worry.
anything we bring up, they're gonna be looking at the village code and see the old one, and say, well, that's what the code says. They said, no, we changed that code, and it was passed by the board. Oh, where is it? Oh, it just says it's draft from April 13th.
detrimental reliance.
Yeah, right? Anyway,
At a minimum, he should put on the website, updated as of so-and-so date, see village clerk for a copy.
Yes, voted on, yeah.
He should take off the old code
Yes,
entirely
completely.
and just have it say, the code updated on whatever copies available at Village Hall.
okay, so let's get to the thing that was
Science.
presented to us. It said in the second or third page that there are 2 sections of HDRB, chapter 64, that this will affect, and one had to do with boundaries and with delineations and designations of individual landmarks and delineation of boundary changes.
Right.
Okay? And, the other one had to do with our regular C of A. But there are 2 others in the new code that also mentions it under signage approvals, that we could hold a public hearing on signage, even though we never have, at least in my experience, right?
But
And-
there's potential that you would.
Yeah, and then there's another one under, I think, hardship, okay? So
It needs to appear in all those places.
it would have to appear in all those places, and then Aaron comes back.
Can I ask
Yeah.
you a question about that? Because I thought in the new code, we pulled out, each sort of action had its own process, and I thought we standardized the process.
For
you know,
public hearings, but
Yeah,
there's
we
still
did.
references.
We did in 6412, I think. But, and which is the part that talks about the C of A. And then in economic hardship, I think it refers back to 6412. But there was another place, and then I pointed out to Marie that, well, okay, if we have signage in front of each individual landmark that we designate, if we're changing boundaries, where the hell do we put the signs in front of every single
Well, but I
one?
thought his answer to that was,
Was that they weren't considering boundaries, they were only considering
wait,
individual landmarks.
hang on. This wasn't could boundary hearings, this wasn't intended to handle boundaries, only individual properties. Right, but could boundary hearings be worded the same as for letters? If there are if there are too many people to notify, it goes in the paper.
Well, anytime we're holding a public hearing, it goes in the paper anyway.
Anyway. I mean, I don't think you could, I mean, if it's a boundary change, without putting it at every property within the delineated change, I don't know how you would do it.
I don't know
Well,
how you do it for boundaries either, I mean, obviously, every property owner would get a letter.
Right.
so we're saying if we were going to extend the boundary of the historic district
Which
from.
we are not, let's be clear for the public record.
Well, hypothetically speaking, if we were extending it from number 10 X Street to include up to number 90, then we would have to put a sign on each, I mean, I don't know. I think that
Do you have useful information?
I think
If I can
mechanically
s-
it just doesn't work. I mean, how many signs?
Michael's been present at all the meetings.
The idea, the genesis of this was a desire to have something in addition to the ad in the paper and to the notice that is sent to the adjacent properties, so that the village at large, them that happens to walk by, see that, there's gonna be a hearing at 123 Main Street for this.
Yeah.
For this event, and that is the intention
It was
at all
to,
the.
it was to increase public awareness and participation, which is a laudable public purpose.
No, that wasn't it at all. It was just for notice, not to necessarily increase public participation.
But to make sure people knew.
Yeah,
Just to
but that
make sure
has been,
people.
that has been spoken about in a number of venues.
Well, you can argue with me, Carol. I'm just telling you what I saw at the various meetings for your information as you consider this.
I'm not arguing with you, I'm just saying that it's another thing that has been brought up in the
I
past.
think that
Okay.
as far as boundaries changing, I mean, it is something that could potentially occur, but it is such a rare thing that I don't think that should stymie this plan. I mean, just because this plan is presented to have these postings and properties under review, just because it can't cover every possible scenario, I still think that it's a good idea.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if there's really a way to do it, other than if a boundary of a district was moving, from, to include 5 more lots or something, we could have, a sign with an arrow saying boundary was here, and then put the new one on a second sign or something, but it's such a unlikely.
I think
That and also, I mean, there's nothing that prevents us from making a change once we have started this process.
Yeah.
And so my feeling is that, how you do it for a boundary change is kind of hard to figure out right now. Maybe we'll have a better insight once we're doing it for individual buildings.
Well, I think what Aaron's referring to is we do have language in there about, he's right, we have language in there somewhere about if there's too many for notice. I can't remember where it is, but we'll look for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what do we consider there's, when
We had discussion, I just can't remember where it landed. We did have discussion about, notifying boundary changes. No, what was it? It was about if you had,
the only,
like, for example, if you were needing to notify an apartment building, would you send to, it was in that discussion, would you?
but that was that was because they, with 20 the Boulevard, we had them send one notice
Right.
to
I
the
guess that's what I'm
management of
thinking
the
of.
building.
I guess that's what I'm thinking.
But if we were going to be adding blocks to the boundaries of the district, we would write to every
Yeah.
Single one.
every single one of those people.
Right.
But maybe it's different maybe planning board has a different rubric of who they contact for different things, but as far as our public hearing.
ZBA does a radius,
Mhm.
okay? And we do adjacencies.
They do a foot radius or something?
250
Yeah.
feet.
Yeah.
I actually, I'm not terribly worried about it, the case of delineation. I think it's a good concept.
Yeah.
And I think it will be useful but it will be harder for people to say, well, I didn't know, I didn't get notice.
Yeah, because I mean, we get like 0 people showing up for a public
Well,
hearing.
but when
or
we
one
do get
person.
people showing up, there is inevitably someone who says, I didn't know. When it's controversial, there is inevitably someone who says, I didn't know.
And I can almost guarantee you that even with the signs up, it's not gonna make a significant difference. Because, some people just not gonna be interested,
not gonna.
The only question that I
They
had was
trust us.
about.
Well,
They
there's always
trust
going to
us.
be people who aren't interested.
It was 10 days before the hearing happens that it's posted,
Mhm.
but it said, I think in one of the drafts that Marie circulated, that it would be, that the sign is posted until the public hearing is closed. So if we, during our public hearing, decide to keep it open for 10 days or something,
Then it stays 10 days longer.
but we never-
then
we
does the
never do
sign,
that.
is the sign somehow modified to say that public
Oh,
comment
that's a
is
good
being
point.
accepted, but the hearing is passed, but public comment is being accepted?
That's
No,
an
but we,
interesting.
but I think actually in our new code, we don't have an option of keeping hearings open.
Yes, we do.
We do.
Do
Yes,
we?
we do.
We should.
I'm
Yeah.
Well,
reading it
shouldn't the
some-
sign say until the public hearing is closed?
Well, so so the sign has to go up 10 days before the public hearing.
Right.
The draft, the kind of draft, whatever this is, ordinance or plan, said that the signs remain posted until the public hearing is closed. But there's no way of, unless somebody just erases what it says on it and says public comment open until whatever date, and then leaves it up until that date, the onus would just be sort of on the applicant to update their sign in the event that the public comment period
Or
was extended beyond the date of the public hearing.
Right. I think that, we identify, in my personal opinion, is you leave the specific date of the public hearing.
Off. No,
That's
No,
the whole point.
sorry,
That's
I
leave
didn't,
it
sorry,
on.
I cut you off. Sorry.
And leave it at that. And if the sign winds up staying there beyond that date, then people should know that the hearing is still open.
Right, or the person just
Hasn't taken.
hasn't taken on the sign.
Okay. And, at that point, if the person hasn't taken down the sign, then it's a moot point because there's nothing that they can do anyway.
Okay, so
Right?
it's under
Yeah,
6412D is the 10 days prior to the scheduled public hearing, the applicant shall send notice by registered mail. That is, where is the,
I think trying to come up with the rules and regulations to cover everything, you just gotta tie yourself into knots.
if the review board determines to continue a public hearing, this is 6412G. If the review board determines to continue a public hearing in order to receive written comments and or additional evidence, these must be received within a period not to exceed 10 days following the continuation of the public hearing.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
I guess it's just a matter of somebody just writing on the sign. As far as I know, the sign's gonna be designed in such a way where it says pretty much all of the information is gonna be filled in by hand.
Mm-hmm.
So we just inform them that they have to go and,
Is this gonna be one of those things that, you kind of like erase the thing, that,
Yes.
almost like a chalkboard?
What
I
I
think it's gonna be a
object-
magnet doodle.
The thing that I object to, object is a strong word, but I think is not terribly smart on the village's part, is that the public hearing sign, well, I guess because we're keeping them, that it's at no cost to the applicant, but we have the cost of, if staff are putting them out, you have staff time cost putting them out, or is the applicant putting them out, right?
So if they were
The
picking them
applicant
up
puts it
here.
out, the applicant has to return it,
Okay, let me hope that they do.
take it out of the
I was thinking that it
escrow.
was a new one every time, but that's the whole point of doing the
Take it out of
erasable.
the escrow.
Sure.
Yes.
All right. So, are you gonna forward the comments, any comments that we have? I have no other comments.
Well, what is the comment?
Well, it sounds like I would just say, we're not that bothered about boundary delineations.
Okay.
There's no way that this is gonna be a one size fits all, but as far as the majority of the applications we see, this is a really great idea, or this is an acceptable solution. And then I would just pose the question of, in the event that that public comment period is extended beyond the date of a hearing, can we instruct applicants to update the content of their sign with that date?
Cool. Got it, on it. Motion to adjourn?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 9:30, 9:29.
That's 9:29, and we started 10 minutes late.
God, eyes are